Today we will study about kidneys. In humans, the kidneys are two reddish brown bean-shaped blood filtering organs that are a multilobular multipapillary form of mammalian kidneys, usually without signs of external lobulation. They are located on the left and right side in the retroperitoneal space and in adult humans are about 12 centimeters, that is 4.5 inches in length. They receive blood from the paired renal arteries. Blood exits into the paired renal veins. Each kidney is attached to a urethra, a tube that carries excreted urine to the bladder. The kidneys participate in the control of the volume of various body fluids, fluid osmolality, acid-base balance, various electrolyte concentrations, and removal of toxins. Filtration occurs in the glomerulus. One-fifth of the blood volume that enters the kidney is filtered. Figure kidney anatomy. The kidneys lie in the retroperitoneal space behind the abdominal and act to the filter blood to create urine. Examples of substances reabsorbed are solute free water, sodium, bicarbonate, glucose, and amino acids. Examples of substances secreted are hydrogen, ammonium, potassium, and uric acid. The nephron is the structural and functional unit of the kidney. Each adult kidney human contains about 1 million nephrons, while a mouse kidney contains only about 12,500 nephrons. The kidney also carry out functions independently of the nephrons. For example, they convert vitamin D to its active form and synthesize the hormones called erythropoietin and renin. Chronic kidney disease has been recognized almost always used when a renin function drops below 15%. Nephrectomy is frequently used to cure renal cell carcinoma. Renal physiology is the study of kidney function. Nephrology is the medical specialty which address disease of kidney function. These include nephrotic and neurotic syndromes, acute kidney injury, chronic kidney disease. Urology addresses disease of kidney and urinary tract infection. Anatomy, these include cancer, renal cyst, kidney stones, and urethral stones, and urinary tract obstruction. Figure view of kidneys behind showing their blood supply and drainage. System, urinary system and endocrine system, artery, renal artery, veins, renal vein, nerve, renal plexus. The word renal is an adjective meaning relating to the kidneys and its roots are French or Latin. Structure. In human, the kidneys are located in the abdominal cavity on the each side of the spine and lie in a retroperitoneal position at a slightly oblique angle. The asymmetry within the abdominal cavity caused by the position of the liver typically results in the right kidney being slightly lower and smaller than the left kidney and being placed slightly more to the middle than the left kidney. The left kidney is appropriately at the vertebral level T12 to L3 and the right is slightly lower. The right kidney sits just below the diaphragm and posterior to the liver. The left kidney sits below the diaphragm and posterior to the spleen. On the top of each kidney is an adrenal gland. The upper part of the kidneys are parallelly protected by the 11th and 12th rib. Each kidney with its adrenal gland is surrounded by two layers of fat. The pre-renal fat present between renal fossa and the renal capsule, and para-renal fat superior to the renal fossa. The human kidney is a bean-shaped structure with a concave and a convex border. A recessed area on the concave border is the renal ileum, where the renal artery enters the kidney and the renal vein and the ureter leave. The kidney is surrounded by rough fibrous tissue, the renal capsule, which is itself surrounded by the pre-renal fat, renal fossa, and pararenal fat. The anterior front surface of this tissue is the peritoneum, while the posterior renal surface is the transverse fossa. The superior pole of the right kidney is adjacent to the liver. For the left kidney, it is next to the spleen. Both therefore move down upon inhalation. Weight standard reference of right and left kidney. In male, 80 to 160 grams right kidney, and left kidney is 80 to 170 grams in males. In females, right kidney is about 40 to 175 grams, and left kidney is 35 to 180 grams in females. Length, left side 11 to 11.2. The kidney is surrounded by rough fibrous tissue, the renal capsule, which is itself surrounded by the pre-renal fat, renal fossa, and pararenal fat. The anterior front surface of this tissue is the peritoneum, while the posterior renal surface is the transverse fossa. The superior pole of the right kidney is adjacent to the liver. For the left kidney, it is next to the spleen. Both therefore move down upon inhalation. Weight standard reference of right and left kidney. In male, 80 to 160 grams right kidney, and left kidney is 80 to 170 grams in males. In females, right kidney is about 40 to 175 grams, and left kidney is 35 to 180 grams in females. Length, left side 11 to 11.2 centimeters, and right kidney is 10.9 centimeters in adults. Gross anatomy of the kidney. The functional substance or parenchyma of the human kidney is divided into two major structures, the outer renal cortex and the inner renal medulla. Grossly, these structures take the shape of 8 to 18 cone-shaped renal lobules, each containing renal cortex surrounded a protection of a medulla called a renal pyramid. Between the renal pyramids are the projections of cortex called renal columns. The tip or papillary of each pyramid empties urine into the minor calyx. Minor calyx empties into major calyx, and major calyx empties into the renal pelvis. This becomes the urethra. At the ileum, the ureter and the renal vein exits the kidney and the renal arteries enter. Ilia fat and lymphatic tissue with lymph nodes surround these structures. The biliary fat is contemporaneous with a fat-filled cavity called the renal sinus. The renal sinus collectively contains the renal pelvis and calyx and separates these structures from the renal medullary tissues. Blood supply to the kidneys. The kidneys receive blood from the renal arteries left and right, which branch directly from the abdominal aorta. The kidneys receive approximately 20 to 20% of the cardiac output in adult human. Each renal artery branches into segmental arteries, dividing further into interlobular arteries, which penetrate the renal capsule and extend through the renal columns between the renal pyramids. The interlobular arteries then supply blood to the arcuate arteries that run through the boundaries of the cortex and the medulla. Each accurately artery supplies several interlobular arteries that feed into the different afferent arteries that supply the glomeruli. Blood drains from the kidney ultimately into the inferior vena cava. After filtration occurs, the blood moves through a small network of small veins that covers into interlobular veins. As the arterioles distribution, the veins follows the same pattern. The interlobular provide blood to the accurate veins, the back to the interlobular veins, which comes to form the renal veins which exit the kidney. Nerve supply. The kidneys and the nervous system communicate via the renal plexus, whose fibers course along the renal arteries to reach each kidney. Input from the sympathetic nerve system triggers vasoconstriction in the kidney, thereby reducing renal blood flow. The kidneys also receive input from the parasympathetic nerve system, by which to the renal branches of the vagus nerve. The function of this is yet unclear. Sensory input from the kidneys travels the thoracic 10 and 11 level of the spinal cord and is sensed in the corresponding diameters. Thus, pain in the flanks region may be referred from corresponding kidneys. Functions of the kidney. Kidneys filter blood, remove waste and excess fluid, and maintain the body's fluid and electrolyte balance. They also play a role in regulating blood pressure, producing red blood cells, and activating vitamin D. Filtration and waste removal. Kidneys filter blood, removing waste products, toxins, and excess water, which are then eliminated in the urine. Fluid and electrolyte balance. Kidneys helps maintain the correct balance of water, salt, and minerals like sodium, potassium, and calcium in the blood. Red blood cell production. Kidneys produce erythropoietin, a hormone that stimulates red blood cells production. Blood pressure regulation. Kidney helps regulate blood pressure by controlling fluid volume and blood pressure hormone. Vitamin D activation. Kidneys convert active vitamin D into its active form, which is crucial for calcium absorption and bone health. Hormone production. Besides erythropoietin, kidneys also produce other hormones that play a role in various body functions. Base balance. Kidneys helps maintain the correct pH balance in the body by reabsorbing bicarbonate and excreting acid. Thank you.